All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Simply Cyber Firesides. I'm your host, Dr. Gerald Auger, and what we do here is we are talking to industry practitioners who inspire us, educate us, and straight up share their knowledge, share their information, share their experiences in the collective so we can all level up as practitioners. And we got a great one for you today. So if you are looking to level up, find community, and be inspired, stay tuned because for the next hour, we are talking with none other than Black Hoodie on himself, senior pentester, principal consultant, hacker, mentor, and founder, Tyler Ramsbey. Now, Tyler Ramsbey is a good friend of mine. He and I collaborate on this pen testing company called Kairos Sec, which we're going to be getting into in just a few minutes. Tyler Ramsbey, also, you may have seen as the keynote panelist at Red Team Village at DEF CON. So he is getting out there. He is sharing information. He is helping lead the way for our industry as far as helping others discover what is hot, what is not, and what's the right way to conduct yourself as a professional. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Questions, we encourage the crap out of them. So if you want to ask Tyler a question, could be about anything. It is a fireside chat after all. Put it in chat with a Q so we know it's for Tyler, and I will facilitate it. As always, I welcome you. He is a rapper also. And a mod in the Simply Cyber, so we can't mute him. He can unmute himself. So, but if you're a regular here, welcome to the party. I see all sorts of friends: Poner Joe, Port Zero up in the upstate, Justin Gold, my friend, Taekwon Gong. Guys, stay tuned. We got a heck of an episode. Let's go get Tyler and have some fun, shall we? What's up, Tyler Ramsbey?
Dude, so good to be here. Good to talk to you again. I mean, we were just talking a little bit ago, but always excited to be here. Super excited to be in South Carolina in like 2 days, which is insane. I'll be hopping on an airplane and heading over that way, but thank you for the opportunity to hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Keynoting Simply CyberCon 2025, which is super exciting. Have you been to South Carolina or Charleston ever before?
I have never been. I'm like here in rural South Dakota, we don't go too many places. I go to DEF CON and then I go to Deadwood, South Dakota, but that's about it as far as traveling goes. So super excited to go. My wife's coming with me too. She doesn't come with me to DEF CON because she doesn't want to be in Vegas in August, but South Carolina looks a lot cooler. So we'll be heading out on Saturday and we'll be spending the weekend there. Super excited for Monday, and just actually got my talk ready today, this morning, and practiced it on live stream. I was like, hey guys, give me feedback. And the audience, my live stream audience gave me feedback, helped me kind of revise a few things. So I'm beyond excited to be there and share with everyone.
Well, I will tell you for a fact, Charleston is cooler, and it is cooler. So you bring an extra. Well, I guess in South Dakota, you're probably freezing your
T-shirt
butt
weather,
off.
dude. We're gonna go swimming in the ocean in like
Yeah,
60 degrees. That's a heat wave.
I love it. So, hey, let's talk about, let's just have a fireside, man. So you're working on your slide deck. I feel like one of the, misassumptions that people have about speakers, because you do a lot of public speaking, I do a lot of public speaking, is that people have their talks really dialed in and all set up. Now, I personally typically do, but I know a lot of people that do not. Wade Wells was famously working on his keynote at Wild West Hack and Fest right up until the minute it went live, and that was a banger of a live stream of a talk. You said you just finished your talk today. What's your methodology for, is that typical for you to kind of wait to the last minute and then just jam it up together, or were you waiting for something to inspire you?
Yes. So my experience is probably unique. A lot of people know this about me, but I was a pastor of all things for 10 years, which means every single weekend I would stand in front of people and essentially talk and teach for about 30 to 40 minutes. And so I have a lot of experience doing that type of speaking. And generally, my approach is when I know I have a talk coming up, I literally just kind of think about it. And as ideas pop in my head for about 2 weeks leading up to the talk, I just jot them down. And then usually a few days before I give the talk, I like to sit down and I write out a full manuscript of everything I want to say, primarily to organize my thoughts. But then when I give the actual talk itself, I generally don't use any notes. It's very conversational. My manuscript organizes it for me. I might have a few bullet points, but then I just get up and talk, and it's much more of a conversation. And then even on the slide side of it, I hate the whole death by PowerPoint. So like I have slides, and Justin was here in the live stream. My slides are quite literally pictures that just go along with my talk as I go. It's not a bunch of words on the slides. And just from my experience doing it, like in my previous career, that just seems to be the more engaging way. So it's what works for me. I think everyone approaches public speaking differently. There's not a right way or a wrong way, but it does take a lot of time, in my opinion, to find a good thing that works for you. And I did it enough times in the church world, I can make it happen somewhat last minute just because I've done a lot of public speaking.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with you that it seems easy to do the death by PowerPoint or the word walls of PowerPoint because it's comforting and it makes you feel less nervous that you're going to forget or freeze up. And I feel like I do feel like you can tell how polished or developed a public speaker is based on the way they're handling themselves, but also the content of their slides. I'm also a big fan of I'll have a slide that just has one giant number on it, right? Because I want you to listen to what I'm saying, and I know what the
Yes.
number means, and I'm about to share it with you. Hey, so dude, not a lot of people come from kind of a theology background and get into cybersecurity or into like a corporate job or anything. How much or how does that training and that not the philosophy of religion, but the regiment of becoming, a mentor in that religious concept and the teachings from your religious learnings. How does that influence your work ethic and the way you approach pen testing or the way you approach delivering as a pen tester, including the reporting, the communication, all that stuff?
Yeah, dude, it is legit. Like it feels like a superpower. I have a master's of divinity. For those who don't know what that is, which is all of you, a master's of divinity is like an academic degree on theology. So I spent 3 years at an academic level studying those kinds of concepts. But my master's of divinity is more useful for me than my bachelor's in cybersecurity when it comes to pen testing, even starting my own pen testing company, doing YouTube, creating courses because in that background, once again, I did public speaking all the time. I did communication all the time. A lot of times, those communications were with people in very dark seasons of their life. So, having the ability to communicate in such a way that is direct, but also gentle and non-offensive in many ways. And when you're speaking to clients on the pen testing side of it, a lot of those same skills come in handy. You have to imagine for a pen test, you might be speaking to a developer who has spent years building this application, and you're about to tell them, look, I found 4 criticals, I can take this over. And you can either do that from the perspective of a jerk and they're never going to work with you again, or you can do it from a place of humility and being able to communicate almost like crisis communication. It's not quite a crisis, but the same skills apply. So that part has been huge. The other big thing is in the church world, I was a church planner. Long story, that just means we started a church essentially from scratch. Like we had some outside support, but it was me and my wife, and we built it from the ground up. And behind that, it's a lot of casting vision, a lot of leadership. I had staff members, but I couldn't pay them. I could barely pay myself. And so they were all volunteer staff members. But the reason that kept showing up was the vision, being able to cast vision and bring people along the journey with you, which I think all of that points to good leadership. A lot of leaders in the business world, people show up to work, but that's because you're paying them. Try to have volunteer staff, see how many people show up. And when there's no one showing up, well, you're not really a leader. You just have some money and people are following the money. So a lot of that has taught me significantly once I pivoted into cyber and now founding my own business. All that experience is kind of coming into play now. Never thought it would, but it's working out.
So I would love to get your thoughts on in this for chat. I hope what Tyler's about to give us is like almost a cheat code or a life skill that you can develop. But if you're getting people to volunteer and support and drive towards the mission that you're driving, like you just said, a lot of people follow the money, and it's not always money that inspires people, right? Sometimes it's other things. Sometimes it's mission. Sometimes it's being able to spend more time with loved ones outside of work. Like, so I want to work a 4-day work week, but I'll still get my work done. What are your techniques or what's your approach to kind of connecting with staff and understanding how to serve them in a way that would, get them happy or excited to contribute towards the mission?
Yes. So I want to be careful how I answer this because Of course, faith is a big part of my life, but I never want to push it on other people or say you have to believe this way. But my answer to that goes back to my faith, right? So I'm a follower of Jesus, and Jesus famously, even for people who don't believe anything about Jesus, very much focused on real leadership is found in being a servant. He literally uses the word slave. If you want to be great, you must become a slave of all people, which sounds insane, even more insane in the first century, where you have like the Roman Empire and all these people pursuing power. And Jesus is like, no, let me flip this upside down and show you a different way of pursuing power.
Sounds like
Power
a hacker.
comes through service. Yeah, exactly. And so that's my philosophy. That's what I try to aim for. I fall short of it so many different times, but what I've learned is if you really focus on adding value and genuinely trying to help other people, the movement will follow, vision will follow, leadership will follow, people will follow you when they know you actually have their best interest in heart. You're not just trying to sell them a product. You're not like, that's my issue with networking even as well. When people say, go to a conference and network so you can get a job. Well, people can tell if you're using them, right? If you just come up to me and you just want a freaking job at Kairos Sec, I can tell, and I'm probably not going to hire you. Good networking is building genuine friendship. And the way you build genuine friendship is you honestly ask the question, how can I serve this other person right now? Irrespective of their title or their position, how can I serve them right now? And if you lean into that philosophy, I think you'll experience much more lasting success as a result.
And do you try to leverage that kind of approach in the execution for client services?
Yeah. So when it comes to clients, there's so many different audiences, right? With the different things I do. Clients, it's similar, but it's not quite the same, because when it comes to a client relationship with the pen test, it's highly technical in nature. There's a lot of contracts and stuff around it. Where I really try to serve them, though, is one, just really good communication. That's where I think humility comes in, and being willing to listen. I mean, Jerry, you've been on at least one of the calls when we were speaking to a prospective client, and it was a possible call to bring on a new client. And a lot of what I did is I ask questions and I genuinely listen, and people can tell if they're being listened to, if they're being talked at. Even if it comes across the same at first, there's a huge difference there. And I think that's kind of the skills that I've picked up being a pastor, is that ability to genuinely listen to people and not be thinking about what I'm going to say next as they are talking. Don't know if that answers your question, but
No, it does. It
yes,
does.
sort of.
So, for those who don't know or those who are here and just learning, um, Tyler is a professional pen tester. He does offensive security. He gets paid to break into systems and then explain how they do. And he recently launched or founded a company that I happen to be. I mean, I don't know if you would consider me like there at ground zero or employee one or however you want to say it, but it's Tyler's company, but I'm there with him along for the ride, called Kairos Sec. So let's talk about Kairos Sec. And just as a spoiler, because I want Tyler to know that I'm going this direction. I do want to get into the report and the observation I made about the report and how much we have in common here. But talk about Kairos Sec for just a minute. What is this? Where'd the name come from? And what are we doing?
Yeah, so Kairos Sec is what's called a boutique pen testing firm. If you don't know what boutique means, it just means that we are small and we focus on very high quality services for clients who have an interest in security awareness. So we're not generally looking for clients who just want a checkbox on their SOC 2 compliance, though we can do that, but generally becoming more of a trusted partner for various companies, whether it's a startup or a bank or a hospital or whatever that looks like. We work with all kind of different organizations. Now, when it comes to the world of theology, which this kind of ties both of my worlds together, in ancient Greek, so the Greek that the New Testament was written in, there's two words for time. You have chronos, which is chronological time or time on a clock, and then you have kairos, which is at just the right moment or the opportune moment. So if you study the Bible, when God shows up, it's often at just the right moment or kairos timing. Kairos also has the meaning of if you are an archer and you like shoot an arrow at a target and you hit it head on, there's kairos there as well. So there's a lot of depth to the kairos name, and it just relates a lot to my story. And so I was trying to think, what's a name for a pen testing company that, one, doesn't suck, that two, a lot of people aren't already using, and that 3 is somewhat memorable. I don't actually know if I've hit those goals yet. We'll have to find out, but that's where the name Kairos Sec comes from. But the goal is high quality pen testing for clients.
And we're talking with Tyler Ramsbey, founder of Kairos Sec and professional pen tester. So he's an entrepreneur, businessman, pen tester, rapper, male model, according to some people. He went to Handsome Boy Modeling School. And you may have noticed I donned my black hoodie, right? Because I also work with Kairos Sec. So I've got black hoodie on, represent. Now, one of the things that I want to call your attention to, and I saw Mary Ellen Kennel in chat and some other pen tester people, because I work at Kairos Sec, I reviewed the most recent penetration testing report for a client, and I went through it from top to bottom, bringing like a very much a scrutinizing, like neurotic auditor eye to the whole report. I only found one thing that was kind of silly, and it had to do with a colon, but the observation that I made, and get ready because I feel like I'm about to flip the script and just drive every pen tester mad to the point where they're going to like run off a cliff. The observation I made is that after reading the full out brief pen testing report, it is exactly like almost identical to a GRC risk assessment report. I think we're brothers from another mother. Or you know what I mean? Like, Tyler, I really, really think that pen testers are GRC people in, different clothing or something like that. That's why, like, I put the hoodie on and all of a sudden I'm a pen tester. My reports are the same. What say you, Tyler? Are you ready to come to the GRC mafia?
I love it. They are very similar, but here's where I think definitions matter. A pen test is a point in time engagement, and it is very much like an audit. We're looking at an environment holistically, and a good pen test also follows industry standards when it comes to what you are checking, some of the tools you're running, how you report, and how you communicate to the client. What might be a little bit different is if we did a red team engagement. A red team engagement is focused on goal execution. The report would be similar, but less of that more audit focus and more of stealth and seeing like, hey, can I make a fraudulent transaction? That is the end goal. Now at Kairos Sec, we primarily do pen testing. So actually, yes, I think anyone who actually does pen testing for a job would agree 100% that pen testing and auditing are very similar. This is why you see a lot of the big 4 accounting firms, they do auditing and pen testing together. I would argue our pen testing is better quality, but they will do them side by side. Often a company will pay for a SOC 2 audit, and that will include some of the GRC auditing stuff alongside of an annual pen test, and often it's combined together in one report. So I agree. It's sort of like GRC, but it's cooler. I mean, you read the report. It's a lot cooler than just, interviewing an employee and be like, hey, do you have MFA? It's like, no, dude, here's how I can pwn your organization. This is why you should fix it.
Well, I mean, it's cooler. I mean, I don't know about that subjective. I mean, you did have some fun colors in there, but we have colors too, right? We've got heat maps. I didn't see a heat map in there. No, but it is good. And honestly, people, I don't know why I'd never made the observation before of the GRC and pen tester, being close, first cousins to each other. So I would say, having said that, this is just occurring to me in the moment. Within cybersecurity, Tyler, I really strongly believe that people can matrix around quite well, right? Like, say you got sick of pen testing, you'd be a great detection engineer because you would actually know what to write detections for. I feel like the same could be said here around, GRC people either becoming pen testers or pen testers becoming GRC, just because you're applying that same approach of finding weaknesses and more importantly, disclosing how bad the weaknesses are. Because to me, that's where you really get paid. It's like, you're going to find a million things. Like what should I actually be worrying about? That's where it comes in. So yeah, I love it. But okay. So, if you have any questions in chat, drop them in there. I did see one specific to actual skills and tools for Kairos Sec. So I wanted to ask that before I kind of took it a little higher level. Kenny Strawn Music wanted to know, what kind of tools did you use to design the template?
I just use Microsoft Paint. I'm just playing. No, so when it comes to pen testing reports, I'll just fill in a little bit. So Kenny, I know that you know what you're talking about, but a lot of people in the audience probably are very confused on the question. So I'll just provide a little bit of context for the question itself. The final deliverable of a pen test and what the client is actually paying for is the report itself. You can be the greatest hacker in the world, but if you suck at reporting, you're going to suck at being a pen tester, because once again, that is the final deliverable the client is actually paying for. Now, if you're only doing like a one-off pen test on, for example, a web app, you can quite literally make the report itself in something like Microsoft Word. You don't need anything special set up. But if you do pen testing on a regular basis for different clients, it's good to have some type of reporting framework in place. It allows you to store different vulnerabilities that you find. So like a standard description for a vulnerability allows you to import some things from tooling. So for example, on let's say a typical network pen test, one of the first things that you should do is run Nessus against the environment to see if there are any massive low-hanging bugs. Usually nothing directly exploitable, but something the client might want to be aware of. Now, if you run Nessus against an environment that has 800 hosts, you don't want to manually parse that and import it into your report. So a lot of these third-party report frameworks have the ability to take something like Nessus, you can import it, and then you can have like the very low-hanging bugs in there, more informationals, so the client is aware of it. So that's what Kenny's asking about, and he's mentioning different tools that are used for that purpose. At Kairos Sec, we use what's called Dratus Pro. I'll even drop the name in chat if anyone wants to check it out. They have a completely free version, so you could actually spin this up on your own and play around with it, called Dratus Community Edition. But Dratus Pro is relatively affordable, and what I like about it is you can run it all locally. So I use Dratus Pro, but it's only local in like literally my home network, so it's not internet exposed, it's not in the cloud. Since I am storing sensitive client data there's a little more security around it, whereas other platforms, they are hosted in the cloud, and depending on what client you're working with, there might actually be some issues there if you're taking their client data and it's being hosted by a third party. So Kairos Sec, we use Dratus Pro. Other platforms can be good. You just want to make sure you do your due diligence and understand the data sovereignty side of things and data rights based on the clients that you're working with.
Yeah, and don't copy paste and put it in ChatGPT and ask questions, because that's a data breach too.
Yes.
Couple of questions. I do want to point something out. Jesse F. Moore in chat says, I've gone too far. GRC, people cannot easily become a pen tester. He is making a joke there. I would agree on balance. GRC professionals would have a difficult time to become a pen tester versus a pen tester becoming a GRC professional. Having said that, Kishin InfoSec says Jerry can open Linux, so I'm now officially a hacker. That is, there we go. Sign me up. So I will take the black hoodie off. I do want to point out my role at Kairos Sec. Tyler's made a very, very brilliant strategic move by not having me hands-on keyboard for engagements, not yet at least. So I'm director of strategy. So I'm doing more on the business side than I am doing on the technical side. So for anybody who's a potential client out there, don't worry, you will get Tyler. You know what's something that pisses me off, Tyler? Hold on one second.
What's that?
And I know that's like a strong word, but
it is.
So I worked, I've been on the client side of buying professional services. And by the way, pen testing is a professional service. So when we say professional services, it's like a generic bucket for having a human come in and do something that you could have hired someone to do like in-house. Okay. So I've been on that side. I worked at Booz Allen for 5 years. So I've been on the delivery side of it as well. One thing that pisses me off, and I know this is your fireside, but I'm getting spicy. Okay?
I want to hear it, dude. Yeah.
Dude, and if you ever have had this happen to you in chat, sound off, okay? It's not an uncommon technique to bring in Tyler, right, for the sales call, and he's like, oh, I'm OSCP, I'm black hoodie on, I've got 3,000 friggin' pen tests under my belt. What? Let's do this. And they're like, here's my money, sign me up. And then day one, I show up, and I'm like, hi, I'm your pen tester. This bait and switch thing is so gross. I've seen it since the early 2000s when I first started getting in this game. And I hate that. Do you have any thoughts on that? I know that's not what we do at Kairos Sec, but have you ever seen or experienced that?
So you'll run into that issue a lot with the larger pen testing firms. I'm not going to drop any names here, obviously, but that is legit their sales strategy. If you work with a boutique pen testing firm, I'm thinking of like, I previously worked at Rhino Security Labs, a firm like that, or like Black Hills InfoSec, more of those smaller, high quality firms. You're not going to have that experience. Generally speaking, the pen testers you meet in the call are the ones who are going to be performing the work. But definitely with the bigger firms, that's what you're going to run into. And like, I think with the bigger, like the big four accounting firms, the benefit that they have is they have really good customer service. They're a large organization. The downside is they have incredibly smart and talented people, but especially for newer or smaller clients, you're not going to be getting them. You're going to be getting a very junior person who might be supervised by a more senior person, but that senior person is likely supervising multiple juniors. I will say, like at Kairos Sec, at least as of right now, I'm personally doing all the pen testing. And when I have a pen test engagement come up, what I do is I quite literally clear my calendar. So if anyone had a meeting with me the past 2 weeks and I canceled it, that's why. Like I want to make sure the client's getting all of my time during that engagement. But that's one thing that separates Kairos Sec. Like it's not going to be a junior pen tester. I'm not outsourcing it. Like I am going to be the one communicating with you from start to finish and doing the pen test for you from start to finish. That might change at some point in time in the future, but we would be very open about who is doing the engagement and what their qualities and characteristics are. But definitely a common issue. I think with boutique pen testing firms, you don't have that issue, but the bigger ones, it just seems to be part of the game,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
and I'm talking a full bait and switch. Sometimes they'll be there to sell it, but then it'll be that person with like 3 juniors underneath them, which I totally can support then because you're developing your talent pool and the person's still there engaged and everything. Find the True 2 is nailed on one of Kairos Sec's key market differentiators. Our pen tester has 0 days. Does yours?
It's true.
I love it. I love it, dude. Yeah. So, okay, let's pivot just a little bit, okay? Because we've been talking about pen testing as a business. We've been talking about pen testing, tooling, and whatnot. Let's bubble it up. It's your pen testing company, right? At the end of the day, so you've made this giant leap, and you've been very, very like overtly public of kind of follow me on this journey with entrepreneurship. Talk to us about what it is. I mean, we're officially 30 days, dude. Hey, congratulations. We're a month in, man. Congratulations. We did it, right?
Let's go.
1 month in. Most just so you guys know, most small businesses fold within the first year, and then the first 3 years is like really like almost all of them collapse, but like the first year is really like that proving period. And it's a big step. I've done it myself. It's scary AF. Tyler, you've done it. Kind of walk us through what, like emotionally, like, before you made the decision, how were you feeling emotionally? After you make the decision, how are you feeling emotionally?
Dude, it was terrifying. I mean, gosh, I don't remember when me and you, Jerry, had this initial conversation. Like I called you, I don't remember when this was, like in the spring
Yeah,
or
I could tell you. Yeah, it was April.
yeah. I was like, dude, we should start a pen testing firm. I had no idea what it was going to look like. That's when I was also exploring like what would it look like to make courses. And it's fun when you talk about it in theory. Like it would be really cool if we did this. And I was like, I'm gonna, put it off till May of like 2026 was my original goal. A lot of that was just like psychological buffer. And then when I had the conversation with my previous firm, that's when it got real. And I told them, like, guys, I'm not leaving to work for someone else. So like I don't need to give a 2-week notice. I'll stay as long as you need me. And I ended up staying for 3 months to finish out a bunch of projects that I had at my previous firm. And I still have good relationships with everyone over there. But I kid you not, and I've even made videos about this. I said in the beginning, I'm going to build this in the public. Either I will succeed in the public or I'll fail in the public. Either way, I'm going to be as open, as transparent as possible, because even if I fail, someone might watch the videos, be inspired, and they might build the next awesome thing, and I'll play a small role in their journey. But leading up to October 1st, which is when I was fully solo, there was multiple times, especially late nights, when the anxiety really gets to you. And I was like, man, I should just tell my firm I'm stupid. Like I never should have given my notice. I'm going to stay with you guys. It much more secure, much more stable. I'm the sole income provider as well for my family of 4. So there's a lot of things I have to balance in this, but the anxiety in that was almost too much. Like, anyone who has pushed through and made it through that anxiety and made it to day one, even if their business doesn't succeed, even if their business flops in 6 months or a year, they should get some serious kudos, because the amount of just mental battles I had to push through to get to right now was, I did not anticipate it. It was way more difficult, the mental game, than I could have imagined.
Yes, 100%. I can attest to that. And if you in chat have thought about starting your own business, or have dabbled with it and felt these emotions, first of all, you join the club. Welcome to the club. It is what it is. And taking that leap, that initial leap, is crazy, But if you have a good plan, if you truly believe in it, I would even argue, and I'm making an assumption for Tyler here. I unequivocally needed my wife's support. If she was not down with it, if she didn't think we could handle it, if she had consternation, even if I had gone in and done it anyways, it probably wouldn't have succeeded, because it's long days, it's long nights, it's hard. There's ups and
Yeah.
downs, and you need, at least for me, I need my wife there when I get off work to be like, So I mean, did you find that having support from your core, whether it's your wife and kids, or it's your brothers and sisters, or it's your parents, it doesn't have to be a marriage thing, it's just your core support group, did you find that was instrumental?
Yeah, so what was probably unique about my wife is she is used to my, the way I live my life. Like, I've always been very entrepreneurial, and she obviously, like, so me and my wife started dating, geez, I was 16 years old. I'm now 32, so you can do the math, how long we've known together and how long we've been together. Matter of fact, when we started dating, that's when I got arrested. Her parents banned her from seeing me when we were in high school. It's a fun story. Maybe I'll talk about it in South Carolina. But
Okay.
she knows me really well. And when I was doing the pastor thing, I mean, I was making like $30,000 to $40,000 a year. Like we were so broke that my kids were covered under the government's health insurance. Like, we made such little money, I didn't have to pay anything. The government covered their health insurance and a bunch of other stuff. So, like, success for me just looks like being able to pay my bills. And ever since I went from being a pastor to working as a pen tester, I've never changed my standard of living. We live in the same house. I never made some crazy lifestyle upgrades. And so it honestly was nothing new to my wife. She knew, actually, back when I was a pastor and I was getting into IT, I told her my plan is to do this solo. I want to be able to work for myself and kind of build something of my own. I didn't know what it looked like back then for sure. This was my idea. Like, what I'm doing right now, this was my goal from the beginning, and she was aware of it. So she saw some of our more private conversations, and she saw that it made sense in light of everything that was going on. It made a lot of perfect sense. Same with even like our family, like my parents, her parents, like literally no one was surprised. I told them all, and they're like, "Okay, cool, sounds good." And so I've done this enough times that they seem to actually trust my judgment, or they're just like, well, there goes Tyler doing something crazy again. But what made it possible for me, and we can even talk about this, a lot of people idolize starting their own business. You should not do it if you don't have finances saved up. It can be incredibly stressful. So what I did well is, from being a pastor to where I'm at now, I made like 4 or 5 times what I made as a pastor when I was a pen tester. But because I never raised my standard of living, I was able to invest some of that money, put it in savings. So when I went solo on October 1st, I have about 2 years of runway that I could make no money and I would be fine. So I don't have to panic thinking, hey, I need this client or I need this to sell. I really don't need to. I can focus much more on holistic growth and not burn myself out trying to make a bunch of money. So that's been huge for me as well, to have that buffer and to be able to be a lot more healthy in my approach to starting a business.
Yeah, and I will echo that 100%. And it looks like there's a lot of people, like Rick is writing a proposal right now for his business. He told me about in Vegas. Other people here are talking about thinking about doing businesses. So 100% right there with you. I did the same thing Tyler's saying, and I want to share something because Tyler, I'm a huge fan of sharing lessons learned that you can't get without experiencing them, right? Like you're not
Yes.
going to read it or whatever. And I personally had, a year's worth of savings to pay my bills and take care of my family for a year. And before I quit my full-time job, Simply Cyber and all the services in the academy and stuff was generating enough money to pay our monthly bills, right? So, which, we also live kind of humbly. So, like we don't have car payments, like our house is, not really glamorous, but so it was already making that money. So here's the thing I want to share with everyone. Even though like financially, like don't make a single dollar, even though it's already generating revenue, it stops tomorrow. Nothing happens for a year. We're still fine. Even though the logic person in you understands and sees that, he could have gone 2 years. Logically, you're still like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like he said, he even thought about backing up right at the last second.
Many times.
It defies logic.
Yeah, it's just terrifying going from that stable well, honestly, with all the layoffs, it's like all job security is just a myth. But going for what seems to be a very stable W-2 into working for yourself, I don't know what it is psychologically about making that jump. But what I also noticed is on October 1st, when it was official, it's still stressful, but a lot of the anxiety was gone because like I couldn't go back now. Like here I am, I'm doing it, like for good or for bad, I am doing it, and it's gone well. I mean, what's insane, and I'm gonna share a little more in my Simply CyberCon talk. I'm not just saying this to like brag and boast, but for the month of October, I made with Kairos Sec, my courses, all that stuff, made as much revenue in 1 month as I used to make an entire year when I was a pastor, which is insane. But the thing is, I never pursued money. I never pursued like I want to make a bunch of money. I pursued how can I give back to the community? How can I build something cool? How can I make stuff super affordable and accessible? And it seems to be paying off. Like the community likes authenticity and they like things that are actually going to be helpful and affordable, and it's working so far. So it's gone significantly better than I could have ever expected. Now we are just in month number 1, but even if income drops by like 90%, I'll still meet my goals because I live in rural South Dakota and I don't need that much money in the first place. So
Yeah.
let's see how
And I
it
guess
goes.
since this is an open board meeting for Kairos Sec, I just want the chat to know when Tyler and I talked about like goals for the first year, whether it's clients or revenue, and he gave me his expectations, I was like, "Ooh, I think we're coming. I think you're very, very, very conservative with these estimates, Tyler." But you know what? If you under promise and over deliver, you can celebrate those wins. So hey, really super pumped for everybody. Before we change topics, there's so many people in here that are talking about starting consultancy, side business, pen testing, all sorts of different type of businesses. Can you just share? Yeah, you mentioned it already, but give like explicit detail around how you are allowing people to come with you on this journey and sharing your lessons learned of business ownership or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so probably the best way is just to follow me on YouTube. So I've been releasing videos on a pretty regular, well, I release videos all the time, but a lot of them are highly technical content of me hacking stuff. But then I'll release videos like, hey, here's an update. I just released one. I don't know if it was this week or last week. I've been freaking crazy busy, which is the other side of owning a business.
Mm.
But just like saying, hey, honestly, here are some of the wins to celebrate from this month. Here are some of the things I sucked at or that I need to do better at, and trying to bring people along that side of the journey, at least on the YouTube side of things. I also have a Discord. If you go to hacksmarter.org, you can see our hands-on labs, but also our Discord. And I'm super active on the Hack Smarter Discord, as well as the Simply Cyber Discord. But YouTube is the primary way where I'm posting like real updates of how things are going. I do not want to end up like, there's so many YouTubers who have a business, but their business is literally selling you a course about how to have a business, and
Yeah.
they don't actually make any product. So I'm very careful. Like, I don't want to be that. My goal is that Kairos Sec would be able to pay my bills. So then on the training and lab side of things, I can keep it dirt cheap so that it's accessible and available to everyone. At least that's my philosophy right now, just because the pen testing side is so new. I haven't technically made any money on Kairos Sec yet. We just finished a deal
Yeah.
for a client, but for anyone who does business to business sales, It's generally net 30 payment terms, and then you still have to bug the business to actually pay you. So like Kairos Sec hasn't made any money yet, to be blunt. And that's where I think also having multiple streams of income is important, right? So I have Kairos Sec, I have courses, I do contract work now for TCM security, like live instructor stuff training. I have some contract gigs lined up for pen testing if I need to do that as well. I have YouTube revenue, some small sponsorship stuff there. So if I didn't have multiple streams of revenue, if I was only relying on Kairos Sec, I'd be panicking a little bit, to be honest. But I don't even remember your question, dude. I just rambled about a lot of stuff. So
No, it was good.
hopefully I
It was
answered
how
something.
people who are curious to learn more about entrepreneurship can follow you. And I'm trying to share this information as well. I don't do it as often or as much as you. I'm a little bit further down the trail a little bit. But yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, it does. It's funny when you do work and then you don't get paid for a month. And, and then you're like, hey, that invoice. But you know what? He's got Kairos Sec has invoices, so that's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
Now, you did mention, damn it, you mentioned something that was really interesting, but I forgot. So, you said something interesting around multiple revenue streams. Now, I'm sorry. Hold on. I was going to switch to Hack Smarter, but there's questions coming in now about Kairos Sec, so it would make no sense to get away from it. Did you have clients lined up, or after starting you got clients? Like, what was the client acquisition workflow look like?
We had no clients lined up, which is why my estimate was so low. I was like, hey, hopefully we can have like 4 clients or something in 2026. But no clients lined up. I worked for another firm, and I specifically like I don't want any clients from my previous firm, and I don't even want them to be attracted over to me. I don't want to hurt my previous firm in any way, shape, or form. So when we launched Kairos Sec, literally had no clients lined up. Our first few clients come from MSPs. So if you're going to start a pen testing business, I recommend building relationships with like MSPs or managed service providers who have clients who might have pen testing needs. But that's how we got our first client. There was a local MSP, actually local to me, that I used to work with when I used to manage IT for a college. And I reached out to them and said, hey guys, I'm starting a pen testing firm. No idea if you have clients, but if we could set up a partnership, that would be amazing. And I got to meet with their founder and one of their head salespeople. They're one of the biggest MSPs in this area, which probably isn't saying much because it is South Dakota. But they had another client who needed a pen test, and they needed it done rather quickly here in October. And since it's Q4, they couldn't get into a lot of pen test companies. So they're like, are you available? And I was like, heck yeah, I'm available. So that's how we got our first client. And I have a few more clients that are coming on board all through those partnerships. So that's how I've gotten clients so far. Contrary to what people might think, like I've seen a few comments on my YouTube videos like, hey, you're Tyler Ramsbey, you probably won't have any issues getting clients. But the thing is, yes, I'm Tyler and you may follow me, but there's not that many of the decision makers, like the CIO people aren't watching me hack stuff on YouTube for the most part. Now, some of their engineers might be, and they could recommend me to their team, but doing business to consumer sales, B2C, is pretty different from business to business sales. I'm good at business to consumer. I'm not great at business to business. And so that's the tension point.
Yeah, 100%. And no, yeah, thank you. And I just want to point out, because Tyler and I both, through our efforts, talk regularly about networking and building relationships and being like more deliberate with these things instead of transactional. He mentioned earlier about like someone walks up to him and they just want a job from him. It's kind of obvious. It's like a sixth sense. You can smell it, right? So, these relationships are similar, right? It's not just one-to-one. It's like business to business relationships. And hey, like not, hey, do you have any work for us? But hey, just so you know, this is what we're doing. And if we can ever be of service to you, let us know. So I don't want you people, I don't want people to miss this kind of lesson, because it is very important. Again, you plant a bunch of seeds, you water them all, some sprout, and maybe a couple of them bloom. But you never know which seeds. So you can't just water that one seed and be like, oh, I'm going to hit the easy button on this one. Kova had a follow-up question. How big of a challenge is it to be a one-man show at this point? Asking because I'm at a similar point, side hustling. while doing a 9 to 5.
Yeah, so I guess to clarify, I don't think it's a good idea to be a one-man show. We're kind of a two-man show because Jerry's on the team as well.
I wasn't going to point out that like, I was just cut out of that question altogether, but maybe let me put the hoodie back on and then
Yeah.
I'll represent. Yeah.
I will say, like, on the pen testing side of things, obviously I'm a one-man show when it comes to the pen testing and the technical work on the pen testing side. And then on the hack smarter like labs as well, I can't really say I'm a one-man show. Like, we have a bunch of hands-on labs. You think like try hack me hack the box, but I haven't made most of them. We have a huge community around that, the hack smarter community that helps build those labs. I have a whole QA team as well that volunteer their times to QA all of the labs on there as well and to help build them. So I guess to answer the first question, I don't think it's a good idea to be a one-man show. Even if you don't have paid staff, you need to have a community of people around you to encourage you, to hold you accountable, to help answer some of the questions you have. The other side of it, because to get to your question, like asking some in the summer point, trying to get my first client while doing 9 to 5 pen tests for my employer, there's a few things here. Number one, there's a very good chance you're violating your employee contract that you signed. So just legally make sure you're in the clear. If you're working for a pen test company and you're trying to find your own pen test clients, I'm like 99% certain that's going to be a violation of your employment contract. So you want to make sure you're very upfront and honest with your current employer. Back at my employer, I was very honest and upfront and told them, like, hey guys, here are my plans. I want to do content and I want to launch my own pen testing firm, but I in no way want to hurt you. And if you're like, hey Tyler, we don't want you to do this for, a year, for a certain period of time, that's fine. I'll be open to it, but I want to be as upfront as possible. And my employer really respected that. And the founder, Ben is his name, of my previous company, he even said, like, look, if you need help with the startup side of things, since he obviously knows pen testing, to let him know. So he was incredibly supportive, but I think that ties directly back to me being open and honest with him. If I would have done it like a shady way, which I'm not saying you're doing it shady, I don't know your story, but if you're trying to hide it from your employer and you're trying to do pen testing on the side, it's not going to work out for you. So just be very careful about the way you approach that.
Great advice. Gary Nugent, he wants to know, first of all, he respects your journey. So good job, Tyler. What would be your best advice to give someone who's trying to do similar to what you're doing? Start a pen testing company and make a run of it. I assume he's talking about the pen testing company, because Tyler is doing several things: streaming, pen testing.
About rapping. I'm guessing rap career is his main question there.
Okay. Yeah. So what say you, Tyler?
No. So on the pen testing side of things, my best advice is, if you don't already have some type of public platform, you need to start it. I started this business thing after, I think, 5 years of making YouTube videos, making content, being very public and out there with people, building connections and building my network. If I did not have that in place before doing this, it's already hard. It would be significantly harder if I'm trying to build a platform at the same time I'm trying to launch the business. So all this business stuff is built on top of this platform that I've spent 5 years now building. Jerry, I'm guessing you say the same thing on the Simply Cyber stuff. Like, you had a platform you were building. You didn't jump off and then try to build the platform. So that'd be my recommendation.
Yeah, 100%. I built Simply Cyber, and just for case study, my last 2 full-time W-2 jobs, I didn't even interview. The CEOs called me and said, what will it take for you to quit your job and come work for me? Because I've seen you. I know what you can do. I know how you communicate. I know your level of expertise. Just say the number, say the whatever. Near the end, I was like, I'm only going to work Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I want $25,000 like stipend for Simply Cyber stuff. I get to spend it on whatever I want, and you don't get to question it. And then I ultimately quit anyway because I needed more time. But yeah, so that's what's up. It is really, really valuable to have that platform, and for many reasons. Final question on kind of pen testing stuff before we go to Hack Smarter. Kenny wants to know, you talked about red team engagements, goal execution. Does it make it more CTF like? Interesting question.
I don't think so. It all depends on what you mean by CTF, Kenny. So a lot of CTFs are like, hey, here's a cat image, freaking perform steganography and pull out an SSH key. Not realistic at all. Teaches you how to use tools, but it's not a realistic engagement. And then I think, I guess I think if I'm understanding your question correctly, an actual, like a realistic CTF, you're looking for root.txt or user.txt, or an even better one. We just released one called Evasive on Hack Smarter, where you actually are doing goal execution. Then it sort of is, because the goal of a CTF isn't to find all the vulnerabilities, is to get to the end goal, which is to find root.txt, or like in the Evasive machine we released on Hack Smarter, you actually have to find some key information about the company. So I've never thought about it that way, but I suppose it sort of is a simplified version of it, if that makes sense. The other big part of red teaming is stealth. So in a typical CTF, you don't have to evade detection, but like VulnLab, which is a platform I'm a big fan of, they actually have on their Discord, they have red team labs, and they have a channel with the sim set up. So if you trigger an alert, it will actually say like Tyler Ramsbey freaking triggered this alert, and then you can watch the sim while you do the simulated engagement, and that's a little more red team and stealthy. So yes and no, sort of. That's actually a very interesting question, Kenny. Appreciate you asking.
I was going to go over to Hack Smarter, but Jesse Johnson, who is a mod and a great guy and a longtime community member and content creator and former rock star, actually probably identifies still as a rock star. Is it too late for someone to get into pen testing with some previous experience?
No. Should I just stop at that and not give any other answer? But no, it is not too late. Like, people ask this all the time on Hex Murder and when I'm streaming. It is never too late, I think, to get into pen testing. I guess maybe if you're like 80 years old and you're in a nursing home, it might be a little bit harder. But no, legit, like if you hold your hand in front of your face and you feel breath, you got breath in your lungs. Like, it's not too late. I'm not just saying that to be motivational, but it is not too late. A lot of with age comes experience and the ability to communicate. I would much rather hire someone, I'm not going to throw out an age because someone will get mad that I call them old, but an older person to help me with pen testing than someone who's 19 who just graduated college, because they're likely going to suck at communicating to clients.
So in addition to Kairos Sec, which we've been spending a lot of time talking with Tyler Ramsbey, founder of Kairos Sec today, he's also got Hack Smarter. Now, Hack Smarter is actually really disrupting this space. What is Hack Smarter? And we actually had someone earlier. I want to bring this up on stage because it was pretty awesome. Jason over on LinkedIn said, Hack Smarter is becoming hands down the best platform for learning and training. So what is Jason talking about, Tyler?
Yes. So the origin of Hack Smarter. I just mentioned it. There's a platform called VulnLab created by XCT, who is one of the top players in Hack the Box, an amazing person, amazing human being, but has very realistic hands-on labs that were significantly more affordable than any other platform, including large red team ranges. Well, VulnLab was purchased by Hack the Box, and I'm a huge fan of Hack the Box, but then it became significantly more expensive. So I thought, hey, there is kind of a market here, I think, for hands-on realistic labs that people can actually afford. And so that's where Hack Smarter comes into play. So yeah, these are all the hands-on labs. If you think of like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, you download our VPN, you can connect to the lab, you hack away. Some of the labs have multiple machines built into them, but there's a heavy focus on realism. There is no silly CTF elements. Everything you encounter in the labs are going to be things you might see in real world engagement. So that's probably the biggest part of Hack Smarter, is those hands-on labs. We're coming out with cyber ranges, hopefully in the near future, where there'll be 7 to 10 machines networked together. But like, you can get a subscription to our hands-on labs. It's like $6 a month if you get the year-long subscription, which is significantly more affordable than every other platform. And a big part of that, guys, is I'm literally giving it to you at cost. So this platform on its own costs me about $1,000 to $2,000 a month to host the infrastructure. We have launched in the month of October alone, gosh, I'd have to look again, but was it like 5,000 different VMs throughout the month of October? Every student gets a fully private instance. The back end is AWS AMIs. So yeah, this costs me about $1,000 to $2,000 a month to host, but I'm trying to make it as affordable as possible. And I think Hack Smarter is the future. We're going to take over. We're already taken over, but it's going to be the best one. Oh, and the other cool thing, if you scroll to the top of this page, every time we release a new lab, so that Cisco lab is an Active Directory Challenge lab. It is completely free. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see it. Yeah, that one right there. So that challenge lab, We just started doing this, that every new release is completely free for 24 hours. So you don't need to pay, you don't need a sub. You can join this event, you can launch the VM, you can download the VPN, you can hack completely free, no strings attached. This one is created by Lane Kusanagi. Anyone who's studying for the OSCP, you know Lane's name. He has the famous Lane Kusanagi OSCP list, but he is one of our machine creators over on Hack Smarter. So we are the future. Expect
100%.
us, as Anonymous would say.
So go over to HackSmarter. I did pin it on YouTube chat, so it's right there. I did drop a link to that free lab, the Cisco one. So I'm not going to pin that, because if you go to the pinned comment, it's like literally right at the top. You can go check that out. And there we go. Congratulations. A lot of people loving it. J Gold, aka J Crypto, aka J Mod. He's giving it 3 fires. I love it. Marcus Kyler is absolutely eating it. 5,000 VMs. It's awesome. One thing I do want to point out, I don't want to get into the mud on anything, but one thing I do want to point out is in our industry, some people like Simply Cyber Academy right now, the courses are one time, you buy it, you have access to it forever. And then there's some platforms that do subscription based, and some people are like, oh, subscription based, you're like sticking it to me, right? I want to point out with Hack Smarter, right? There is a back-end infrastructure that costs money to run. So it would be the silliest business to run if it was a one-time fee, but you could use it forever if it had ongoing expenses associated with it, because at some point you're going to lose all the money that they paid to it, and then you're going to start paying for them to use it. So it has to be subscription based and use tokens or credits or whatever. I just want to point out, because a lot of people, I feel like, don't think about the money, and they're like, oh, this is just like a monthly subscription thing, so you get more and more money, right? Or I forget about canceling or whatever. And it's not that at all, right? It's definitely around the maintenance, right? And as Hack Smarter grows, Tyler, I would assume your monthly burn is going to grow accordingly.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things on Hack Smarter. We have subscriptions, but for good or for bad, you can actually pay one time for lifetime access to the courses. So there's courses there. All of the labs, though, do require subscription because of the infrastructure cost behind it. But right now, like I said before, if you get a sub, especially the annual sub, so the all access is about $16 a month, which is freaking crazy cheap for what you're getting for it, and it's basically at cost to me. Those prices will go up in the future, I guarantee it, especially as we release cyber ranges. But if you get onto the platform now, you will be locked in at whatever rate you get onto now. So that's a benefit of being an early adopter. But yes, that's why we do subs. It's infrastructure. These aren't just like, it's not just a course. It's not a standalone course where you watch videos. It's courses, but also a bunch of different hands-on labs, and you get a private instance. It's different. Yes.
Yeah. A couple questions. Crooks is in chat, not wanting to be a beggar, but asking, do you ever run any type of promotions or, scholarship type things or anything like that?
So I just posted this on LinkedIn that if anyone's laid off recently, reach out to me and I will give you a scholarship. I think I've personally sponsored around $15,000, which is insane, worth of scholarships to the all access pass on Hack Smarter. I will say, and I guess if you live in a country that is developing, I'm willing to have the conversation. Crooks, I'm trying not to be a jerk about the way I say this, but I will just say this. When I was getting into this field, I was working full-time as a pastor, full-time in IT support, going to school full-time, and I was the sole income provider for my family. And I did it. So I would just say, like, if someone wants something bad enough, you can figure out a way to make $16 a month.
Yep, 100%. And I want to also ask you this question. This is me asking. Is the platform currently support? Like, say I wanted to purchase a monthly or a 1 year of subscription for like Sierra Montgomery or for my son Grayson or whatever. Is the platform have the capability to kind of gift a subscription or gift a thing in any way, or would it just be like I buy it but I put their name in the form field?
No, I wish it did. So I've actually had a few people do that. Actually, at Wild West Hacking Fest, someone did that. They sponsored an all access pass. I have a Ko-Fi, so you can just give on Ko-Fi, and then I generate a custom voucher for whoever you're gifting it to. But there's not a good way on the platform to gift
Okay, so the
yet,
workflow
as
is
of
to go
now.
on Ko-Fi and do
Yeah,
that.
just you give on Ko-Fi, let me know who it's for, and then I can give either you a voucher to give to them, or I can provide them a voucher. But that's how I've done it in the past for now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, it's good to know because it's incredibly affordable. It's incredibly cool. I haven't gotten in there myself, but I've had multiple people when you're not around, Tyler, tell me how much they like it and how well it's done. Right. So they're giving me candid feedback, like without having to worry about you wanting to box them around and like.
And we're giving vouchers, right? Simply CyberCon. I don't remember how many I'm giving away, but we're giving away some for the CTF prizes, correct? Like 4 or
Two
something?
CTFs at Simply CyberCon. You said 4 Hack Smarter labs.
So that's
Four Hack Smarter labs. So I don't know
okay,
exactly
sweet.
what that was.
That'll be all the hands-on labs. That's like $100 a year, roughly, is what the value comes down to. But that will give you access to every lab,
So
and
it
for
was
the
4
rest of
Hack
the next
Smarter
12 months.
1 year passes. Is that what it was? I didn't write the time span.
Yeah, yeah. So for the next 12 months, you'll get access to every single lab for free,
There
including
you
the new
go.
ones that come out.
Yeah, so we have 2 CTFs at Simply CyberCon. One's your traditional CTF. Here's a picture of a cat. Find a flag in the stego. And then we're actually doing a special OSINT CTF sponsored by ThreatLocker. Kind of fun. Doing a couple different things at Simply CyberCon. I know this is Tyler's fireside, but I'm pretty excited, dude.
I am too.
We're doing OSINT CTF, which is unheard of, and Michelle Khan. I didn't want Michelle to be able to compete in it, so I asked him to develop all the challenges. So that worked out really well. Yeah, brilliant. That's a 4D chess move right there. And
That
then we're doing pop-up workshops. Have you seen what the pop-up workshops are?
So I was in the final planning meeting. I'll
Oh,
let you talk about it, but it seems amazing. Like, I think it's a cool idea. I've never seen it done at any other conference.
yeah,
Talk about it, dude.
it kind of just came to me. I thought we'll see how it goes. I mean, it's one thing to get pumped about something. It's another to get people to sign up. But my 10-year-old son wants to give a workshop on Roblox, right?
Let's
So
go.
what parents need to know about Roblox? So there you go. We're getting close on time, Tyler. Let's do some final thoughts with you. As it were, this, by the way, these firesides, they always go pretty fast. This one particularly went incredibly fast. So it's been really good talk. Send us off, man. Like any final thoughts, things you want people to, go check out, see, Simply CyberCon keynote, maybe. I don't know.
Yes, you should go to the Simply CyberCon keynote. If you're not going to be there in person, you should watch online. But the TLDR of my keynote is also what I want to leave you with. And this sounds cliche, but it's very true. We are human beings. We're not human doings. And yet the first question we often ask people when they meet them is, hey, what do you do for a living? And we define ourselves by our 9 to 5. And if you find your identity in your job, in your income, in your title, in your certifications, you will crash and burn. You will become another statistic. Life is much more important about the person you are becoming. Therapy is incredibly important, and focusing on the type of person you're becoming, not the work you're doing. If you pursue that, success will follow.
All right. That's a little teaser for the Simply CyberCon keynote. It will be live streamed on Simply CyberCon's YouTube channel. It's a separate YouTube channel. If you go to simplycybercon.org, the link is to the Discord and you can get all that stuff. Don't miss it. It is Monday, November 3rd at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We'll start the stream at 8:45. I'll do some opening remarks and intro Tyler, and then get the heck out of the way so he can ooh and ah us. All right, Tyler, thanks for coming on and hanging out with us, spending some time, inspiring. I promised you guys inspiration, education, and real talk, and Tyler delivered that in spades, pretty much. So I want to say thank you to all of you. The questions were amazing. Just the stories y'all shared, whether it's pursuing your own business or pursuing a change in industry, going from GRC to pen testing. Absolutely amazing. You guys all crush it. I'm super happy to see you. I can't wait to see many of you in person on Monday. On behalf of chat, Tyler, thank you. And until next time, y'all, stay secure.